The Baylor Bears are coming off a very disappointing season in 2022 after winning the Big 12 in 2021, and Dave Aranda's group is getting some skepticism entering this year. However, there is a lot of growing hope and a lot of growing faith that Baylor's going to be a bounce back team next year and should be a solid competitor in the Big 12 conference this year. But can they bounce back enough to get back to a Big 12 championship game, maybe even win another one under Dave Aranda? Or is this team going to get another reality check season? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 133 FBS level college football teams this summer, and that means I'm doing your favorite team. So hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. But there are more ways than that you can help me support my channel. You're doing one right now by watching the video, and you can do more by liking, commenting, subscribing, really anything else you guys can think of and are willing and able to do to help me support my channel. Whatever you guys are able to do would mean a lot to me. I thank you for all the support and growth on the channel. I don't often say that enough, but truly thank you guys for all the growth and support. Continuing on with Big 12 predictions, talking about the Baylor Bears. So how do we do things around here? Glad you asked. We take a look at the roster overview, take a look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 Baylor Bears football schedule and giving it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So without further ado, let's talk about the Baylor Bears in 2023. Starting out with, of course, the most important position on the field, the quarterback position. Not going to look much different this year. Kyron Drones is going to be gone. Only had 23 pass attempts for this team last year. But your starter from last year in Blake Shapen comes back. Had a little bit of a down year last year. Definitely some things he can improve upon, but the stat line is still solid. 2,790 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions last year. The yards metric, the average yards per completion, it's not bad. It definitely can improve, but that touchdown to interception ratio is something that's got to get better for this Baylor team to be able to bounce back. And if he is not up to code, then there are a couple other quarterbacks that may take under center for the Baylor Bears. Sawyer Robertson comes over from Mississippi State, and RJ Martinez over from Northern Arizona. When you look at the running back room, Craig Williams was your second leading rusher last year. He is gone. 557 yards, 4 touchdowns for him last season. Your first and third leading rushers, respectively, do come back. Richard Reese and Quaylon Jones. Reese with 972 yards and a whopping 14 rushing touchdowns for this team last year. And Quaylon Jones, 462 yards, 7 touchdowns last season. No one else on the team besides the 3 guys I just mentioned had over 100 yards rushing for this Baylor team last year. And you're getting a transfer over from Oklahoma State in Dominic Richardson, who should help bolster up this running back room nicely. He's a 4-star rated transfer according to 24/7 Sports. In the wide receiver room, you do lose some solid pieces here. Gavin Holmes was your second leading receiver, 517 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's gone, as well as Jalen Ellis. That's going to be gone there as well. Who returns in this wide receiver room? Well, Monterey Baldwin comes back with leading receiver, 565 yards, 4 touchdowns. Hal Presley also had 4 touchdowns, was your 4th leading receiver. And Josh Cameron was your 3rd leading receiver last year, as well as getting a transfer in to bolster that wide receiver room. And in my opinion, could be that number 1 at the end of the season. It's Ketron Jackson coming over by way of Arkansas, 4-star rated transfer. In the tight end room, Ben Sims was your 5th leading receiver last year. He is going to be gone. However, Drake Dabney was not far behind him at 6th on the list, and you do return him in the tight end room. Should be that featured tight end. If not, it'll be a transfer coming over, I believe, from North Texas. Fact check correct, in Jake Roberts. 3-star rated transfer according to 24/7. And when you take a look at the offensive line, Connor Galvin, Grant Miller, Micah Masqua, again, I probably pronounced that last name wrong, I apologize, and Jacob Gall are all going to be gone off of the offensive line. Who do you return? Well, Gavin Byers comes back, and then you get a couple transfers coming over from BYU and the Barrington brothers. Clark and Campbell are coming over. Clark a 4-star and Campbell a 3-star rated transfer, according, of course, to 24/7. So the offense, I think, is in pretty solid shape entering 2023. Got some good returners in pretty much every position. It's just a matter of improving their game. And then defensively, what can we expect? Well, there is a lot of good talent gone off of this defense from last year. Some really good defensive linemen in Siaka Ika and Jackson Player that are going to be gone off of this team. Only half a sack between them, but they were still very impactful on that defense. You are going to return Gabe Hall, who was tied for the team lead with another player we'll mention here in a little bit with 4.5 sacks, and TJ Franklin, who had a sack and a half 36 and 35 tackles respectively. They come back, as well as getting a community college transfer over in Jarrell Boykins, the 55th overall community college player, according to 24/7 Sports. In the linebacking unit, Dylan Doyle, your leading tackler last year. Sorry, gone. 88 tackles, 2 interceptions for him last season. And then that's really it for who leaves the linebacking unit. Who returns? Well, you got a lot of nice talent here. Matt Jones was your 3rd leading tackler last year. He is coming back, as well as Garmin Randolph, Brooks Miller, and Bryson Jackson. And actually, Randolph was tied for that team lead with 4.5 sacks last season. So both of your sack leaders you get back for 2023, which is really good for this Baylor pass rush. And then the other guys going to be solid piece in the linebacking unit, as well as getting a transfer over from Liberty, 3-star rated, in Mike Smith. In the defensive back grouping, you do lose Al Walcott, who was a very, very good player for them. 82 tackles, was 2nd on the team, did have 5 passes defended, which I believe led the team, but pretty much everyone defended a pass for this team last season. Pass defended numbers are all across the board. Did have an interception as well. Mark Milton, two pass defended, 1 interception, 6th overall tackler last year, is gone. Devin Neal is going to be gone there as well. 41 tackles, 2 interceptions for him. And then Christian Morgan was your 5th leading tackler with 48 tackles, 3 interceptions last season. You do return Devin Lemire, who was your 4th leading tackler, 55 tackles, 2 interceptions, 4 passes defended last year. And AJ McCarty also comes back to this team. Did have a pick 6 for the Baylor Bears last year, as well as getting a transfer over in Isaiah Dunson. So offense, if it can improve, defense, if it can fill and replace, Baylor's got all the pieces it needs to have a bounce back year in 2023. Your head coach is Dave Aranda, offensive coordinator is Jeff Grimes, and your defensive coordinator is Matt Powledge, as we take a look at the Baylor Bears 2023 football schedule. Any game that's going to be underlined is a game the Bears have at home, and any game in italics of the slanted text is a game the Bears will play on the road. Any game in green that I highlight will be a game I think Baylor will win easily. Yellow is, whoa, this team puts up a fight, but Baylor's able to win. And red is a loss. So let's predict Baylor in 2023, shall we? I think they're going to be able to beat Texas State pretty easily. Not a super competitive team out of the Sun Belt Conference. And I think Baylor will get a nice, easy start to the 2023 campaign there with the Texas State Bobcats. This Utah game coming up is very, very interesting. Utah, Cam Rising is coming off knee surgery. Who knows if he is healthy and ready to go by this point? It's early enough in the season to where you could question Cam Rising's health and whether or not he's going to be ready to go. But he's got a lot of nice pieces around him. And even though Clark Phillips and some good defensive pieces are leaving, I think that's still going to be a very, very physical defense for Utah. However, again, given the uncertainty of Cam Rising's status this early in the season, maybe he plays, but maybe he's not 100%. And I really like a lot of this talent that Baylor has. I think they match up well with Utah. And I think they're going to go ahead and beat the Utah Utes as well. I think the Utes are still going to be a very good, very competitive football team this year. But I think Baylor's going to get the better of them here. I got Baylor pulling off the upset against the Utah Utes to start out their campaign 2-0, and it will be 3-0 if they can end up beating Utah, which is what I'm predicting, as they will get a win against the Long Island Sharks. That will happen. They will not be losing that game. So I got Baylor off to a 3-0 start. They're flying. Everything's looking good. Maybe the offense is getting in a right gear. And then I think you run into a brick wall right here with Texas. Texas simply has just got too many weapons for Baylor's defense to be able to handle, especially with all the talent that you lose in that secondary. With this passing attack here with Texas, it's going to be dangerous. With Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning, Malik Murphy, whoever happens to throw the ball for Texas has got a very good group of wide receivers. And even though they do lose those 2 running backs, the running back room will be good as well. I think Texas will be too dynamic for Baylor, and they're going to be able to win against the Baylor Bears. On the road against UCF is a very, very interesting game here for Baylor. UCF is a team where, hey, you have John Rice Plumlee coming back at quarterback. A lot of nice talent surrounding him. And then when you take a look at the defensive side of the ball, I think it's going to be a very, very good defense for this team as well. You are losing a couple pieces, but I have great faith in what they have back there in the roster and the coaching staff with Gus Malzahn there at the helm as well. This is going to be a very scary Knights team going on the road in the Bounce House. I think it's going to be tough for Baylor to do, but I do think they come away with a win here in this game. It is going to be a very, very tough game. It's going to be a game where Baylor might have to fight to be able to win that game, but all in all, I do have UCF being able to, or I should say, I do have Baylor being able to pull off that win against UCF in the bounce house, but they're going to have to make a couple plays to win that game. That's not going to be easy for them. I think they'll do it. I think they'll win. Texas Tech is a really, really solid Big 12 contender in Lubbock, but that quarterback play, much like with Baylor here, has got to get better. Whether it's Shug or someone else that happens to play quarterback, they've also got a very good group of wide receivers here. So I think quarterback play is going to determine a lot here in this game. And defensively, that's going to be a very interesting conversation as well. That's going to be a very close, very tight-knit game. And I got Baylor being able just to make the extra play. Maybe they force the other turnover, and they're going to be able to win that game there against Joey McGuire's Texas Tech Red Raiders. So they're riding high. They're coming off two pretty close wins, and then you get your bye week to rest for Cincinnati. Now, I am going to flash my prediction up here, and yes, that text did change color. I do have Baylor losing to Cincinnati. Baylor is unequivocally the more talented team than Cincinnati, and I could definitely see them winning this game. Cincinnati loses a lot. Luke Fickell is gone, and a lot of the players are gone. But something is telling me about this game. I don't have a good football reason to tell you guys other than I have a feeling that Cincinnati's going to pull off a win or two that maybe they shouldn't. Scott Satterfield's group will be competitive, and I got Baylor being able to I got Cincinnati being able to pull off that win against Baylor. But I think Baylor will bounce back nicely with a win against Iowa State. Yes, there are questions. Who steps up in place of Xavier Hutchinson, who replaces some of that talent lost on defense. They got some transfers coming in, and with Hunter Deckers and Jarrell Brock at quarterback and running back respectively, I think that'll be a solid team. I just don't think they're up to standard quite that of the Baylor Bears, and I think they'll beat Houston there as well, although both those games will be competitive. Houston is a team this year where I think it's going to be a real struggle for them with Clayton Tune, Alton McCaskill, Nathaniel Dell going to be gone, as well as some pieces on that defense. It's going to be a struggle for Houston in their first year in the Big 12 Conference. So I got Baylor bouncing back from the Cincinnati loss and winning both of those games. However, you got two very, very tough road games coming up here for the Baylor Bears. You got to go on the road to play at Kansas State. That's going to be a loss for them right there. Kansas State does lose quite a bit in that secondary, and Baylor can make them pay with that. But I think Kansas State offensively will be will put up too many points, will be too much to handle for this Baylor defense that definitely has some pieces to fill in. Got a lot of great talent on this Baylor team. I just think Kansas State has a little bit more of it. They get the better of the Bears in that Week 11 matchup. And then in Week 12, quite the opposite story here with the secondary. TCU returns a lot of talent, although they do lose their best defensive back in Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, and they lose a lot of talent elsewhere as well. D. Winter's gone off the linebacking unit. Max Duggan, their top two leading rushers from last year, Quentin Johnson, those guys are all gone. TCU, I do think still has a lot of good talent awaiting in the wings, though, and I think TCU is going to be a team that's going to be very competitive. They're going to be very lethal. Maybe not quite as lethal as they were last year, but I think they're lethal enough to put an end to the Baylor Bears, as I got the Horned Frogs being able to beat Baylor, and then Baylor should be able to bounce back nicely, get an 8th win of the year, which is my prediction. West Virginia is not a team I am super confident in, and I don't think Neil Brown is the right man for the job at all. So Baylor going to be able to easily beat West Virginia. So Texas, Cincinnati, Kansas State, and TCU are the losses there. Although if you want to switch Cincinnati and UCF, be my guest. This is not a very easy schedule. You got a tough non-conference opponent, but I like the talent that Baylor's got. I think Blake Shapen, if he can improve, he's got a lot of good pieces on offense. And this defense has got some good pieces as well to replace what all they lost. I got 8-4, ceiling 9-3, maybe 10-2, but more realistically 9-3 with how tough the schedule can be to navigate for Baylor. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.